A Patriot source telling me our legacies will be tied to what we decide at quarterback. I'm told they're operating with the mindset that unless you have a long-term answer at the position, you can't win. This is unfamiliar territory for the Patriots, picking third overall, the highest pick in owner Robert Kraft's 31-year tenure, why he's called it the most anticipated draft of his time. And one last thing, the Patriots are listening to trade offers, but head coach Drake Maye says it would take a bag for them to move the pick. And as of last check-in, no bag has arrived here in Foxborough. Laura?
Oh, I love Mike Reese.
Yeah, Reese, the bag.
Right, so the bag ain't there yet. But let's say it does get there. Matt, I'm curious. You heard Mike Reese talking about the possibility of a trade for New England. What do you see potentially for them, specifically moving down?
Yeah, if they move down, I think the question is how far can you go and still get one of the top quarterbacks in this class? And we saw something from the Arizona Cardinals similar to this last year. They were on the clock. They moved from 3. They moved out. And then here they come rushing back up the board to get the first offensive tackle in Paris Johnson Jr. So that's kind of the model that the New England Patriots would have to follow. Now, it is incredibly risky to do this. No team has ever traded out and then back up to get the quarterback. But can you trade back? If you like J.J. McCarthy as much as you like Drake Maye, then I think there is the opportunity to do this, especially if you feel like the Minnesota Vikings are going to come up to get Drake Maye, who they've been connected to throughout this draft process. So you feel like, hey, we could slide back a little bit. The problem is you do have the New York Giants sitting right there at pick 6, as Southall mentioned, that you have to think, if a quarterback's there, would the Giants take them? So again, it's risky, but if the Patriots feel like they need to capitalize on the draft capital this year, trading back and then trading back up is certainly one way to do it. It's not how I would do it. I think if you were to take a quarterback, you just stay at 3 and take them, but they definitely have some opportunities here.
Yeah, if I was New England, I would stay at 3 and I would take Drake Maye because it's the perfect situation for him to go sit, develop. Jacoby Brissett can go play and kind of lead this team through really the 2024 season. 2 things. Number 1, what's the realistic timeline of expectation from the owners? We got to remember the Kraft family were the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL. They know one way, win. And they haven't won in like 3 or 4 years. So do they sit there with the necessary patience to make sure that they take Dre, and if I'm Drake Maye and my staff, I'm sitting there taking Drake Maye, walking into their office and saying, this young man is not playing until 2025 or fire me. The second thing is this, with the J.J. McCarthy attachment, and this is what, give me maybe intrigued is, does J.J. McCarthy, either good or bad, remind them of Tom Brady so much? I know there's the Michigan tie. I don't know JJ that well, but I do know that there's this mentality and perfectionist and crazy work ethic. Does the building sit there and go, we love that, we want that again? Or does the building sit there and go, we got tired of that, and that was, part of the reason why we moved on? Correct,
right?
Yeah. Well, there's the Kraft family still being there. I just don't know if they want that style again, quarterback-wise, at least personality.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if that personality got me 6 championships, he could come back here and do whatever he wants. Sure. Hell, you should be looking for a Tom Brady doppelganger if you're the New England Patriots because you tried it without him and you kept the coach. And we all see how that went for this team. But I do believe that this could be a good spot for Drake Maye. And I think one of the underrated points that Dan made was the point of Drake Maye having to walk into the Kraft's office and say, if you're expecting him to play and you want me to draft him, then fire me right now, because that shouldn't be the plan for Drake Maye. And you have the perfect quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. You don't have a quarterback in Jacoby Brissett that's trying to prove to the world that he can be the franchise quarterback for the New England Patriots. He knows exactly who he is, and that can allow Drake Maye to develop as the New England Patriots build an infrastructure around him to be successful.
It could play out really well. Guys, just to set the table for tomorrow, we've been saying this. 1 and 2 feels predictable, right? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. At 3, it gets fascinating. From then on out, this first round could be one to remember with all the potential trades. We haven't even gotten to where the wide receivers will be taken. There's tackles. I'm trying to not hit you like you hit me. Go to Denver, where the Broncos hold the 12th overall pick. And They need a quarterback. The question is, how far up do they have to get to grab, say, J.J. McCarthy? Or do they wait? Bo Nix, he could be there even past 12. Do they trade back? Michael Penix Jr., he might still be there. Peyton Manning had this to say about J.J. McCarthy.
I had a conversation with J.J. McCarthy the other day. I texted him, Stoke, after the national championship. I never met him, but we invited him to our football camp, and like Harbaugh wouldn't let him miss a workout, so he didn't get to go. And so I just reached out and said, "Hey, man, congratulations! Wish you the best of luck in your next chapter." And I guess he thought it was a prank because he never called me back. So I texted him Monday, from the same number, and he's like, "Oh, it really is you. I thought that was somebody was pranking me." And so I just kind of wished him luck, and he said, "Hey, I'd love to ask you some questions." So he called me back, and boy, impressive to talk to, and I know Denver's very interested in him, and it sounded like this is a place he'd love to come to. So, but it's a little bit out of his control.
There's a lot of info there that we'll get to. But first of all, everyone answers Adam Schefter's text back, except maybe Aaron Rodgers. Either way, Adam, what are you hearing about the plans for the Broncos at quarterback?
Laura, the issue here is supply and demand. And essentially right now, we know there are quarterbacks that could go 1, 2, 3, 6, 11, 12, 13. There aren't, by my estimation, 7 quarterbacks with first-round grades. So at what point, if you're Denver, is there going to be a quarterback there at number 12, whoever that is, that you believe is worth taking at the 12th overall spot? Yes, Sean Payton said, in a perfect world, they'd love to see if they can add a quarterback. They just don't know if the value will match up with where they're picking right now. So they wait to see if one of these guys can slide through to get to them. The thing to keep in mind here also, it's going to be a little challenging for Denver to come up. They don't have a second-round draft pick. They're without that pick, so it limits their ability to come up. They're kind of helpless, waiting to see what happens as they wait to see which quarterbacks fall to number 12.
Yeah, Adam, that's a really important note. And let's actually dive into the availability of McCarthy to the Broncos with Smarter Picks, brought to you by NerdWallet. The smart pick for teams picking outside the top 10 is to move up. You're going to have a chance to get the Michigan quarterback, of course. If the Broncos stand pat at 12, there's only a 4% chance he's still on the board, according to the ESPN Analytics Draft Day Predictor. After the 6th pick, it drops off to less than 50% of a chance that he's still available. Matt, the Broncos would need to give up a lot to go from 12 to get up to get McCarthy, and Adam even talking about there, they don't have a whole lot to give up. Is he worth giving whatever they do have to give up for?
No, I don't think so. And that's not a slight to J.J. McCarthy. I was at the pro day where people have said, this is the greatest pro day workout I've ever seen. I like J.J. McCarthy a lot as a person and a player, but he's my number 19 overall prospect for the 2024 NFL Draft. And we're talking about, because the Broncos don't have that second-round pick, to go to 5, which is, I think, where you realistically have to get in front of the New York Giants. To go to 5 is going to be very expensive for a team that they have maybe been shopping Cortland Sutton, their best wide receiver. Garrett Bowles, their left tackle, is coming up on a free agent year this year. So they have a lot of holes. Pass rusher is certainly one of them as well in this defense. So they have a lot of holes for a team to be giving up those type of assets. And I'll throw this in here real quick. One thing I've heard, a lot of teams are very comfortable with Michael Penix Jr. from Washington if they feel like they can't go up to get McCarthy. Like sitting here today getting texts from teams saying, we like Penix as much as we like McCarthy if the cost is that high to go get him.
Yeah, Matt, real quick question. What do you like better? The Denver Broncos having to go up to 5 for McCarthy and maybe not being crazy expensive, or then dropping back to, like, say, the late teens and getting Bo Nix?
If it's a guarantee that I can get Bo Nix, I like that better. I'm always going to take more picks, right? I'm a prospect guy. I'm always going to want more opportunities to get great players. And going back from 12 to, like you said, maybe you slide back to 17 with Jacksonville, who wants to come up and get a premier corner or a wide receiver. I think that is much better value.
Yeah.
And then you're adding picks either this year or next year to where you can restock that cupboard a little bit.
Yeah, see, I agree with the sentiment. It's going to be probably too expensive. I just think that JJ and Bo are on different tiers as quarterbacks. So I think it's going to be difficult for them to get to where they want to for JJ McCarthy. I just think it's more likely that they will end up having to trade back and get Bo Nix later in that first round, maybe in that late teens area, because I think that too many teams are going to be interested in going up and get J.J. McCarthy with more ammo.
I don't know if J.J. McCarthy is going to give Jim Harbaugh half of his check, because there's something that I'm missing from the film to the way that we're talking about drafting or giving up picks for this player. Do I like J.J. McCarthy? Absolutely. I don't drive far for food that I like, right? I don't go to movie theaters for shows that I like, for movies that I like. If I don't love it, I ain't moving for it. I ain't putting in effort for it. And to watch J.J. McCarthy's film, when I've seen the Andrew Lucks play in similar offenses, it ain't the same, y'all. And as you say that J.J. McCarthy is on a different tier than Bo Nix, I believe he's on a slightly different tier. But the stair that J.J. McCarthy is standing on with both feet, Bo Nix has one of his feet on it, and the other one is off of the freaking ground. And so to me, if you can move back and get Bo Nix, or even get Bo Nix at 12, I don't give up what it takes to get J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well, the other thing, too, I mean, you kind of said this, too. I mean, the Vikings, like, if they didn't go up and get Drake Maye, did they try to get J.J. McCarthy?
Right.
It just may end up being, for the Broncos, too much of a price to pay. But either way, you got to think the calls are going to be crazy inside those draft rooms